Hi there, I'm Alysha, and I am a psych NP that owns a private practice, and I teach other psych NPs how to find freedom and balance in their lives by starting their own private practices as well. So today I wanted to share with you all about my recent trip to Bali. And this is something that's been on my bucket list for a really long time for a lot of reasons. Many of you guys know that I'm a cancer survivor. And so when I was going through treatment, imagining my future trip to Bali gave me a lot of peace. And so I'm going to share with you all about what I learned about health, healing, and business during my trip in Bali. So let's start out with, where did I stay? So some of you guys may be planning trips to Bali or have that on your bucket list too. So I figured I would just share. I stayed half of my trip in Sanur, which is a beautiful beach and very chill, low key, not super touristy, and it's at the bottom south part. And then we stayed the other half of our trip in Ubud, which is commonly known for wellness. And while we were there, some highlights that I really loved was visiting the monkey forest. Yes, they are rambunctious, but I love that. And then we visited several temples, and I specifically wanted to focus on spirituality, health, wellness, and culture while we were there. So I really loved visiting as many temples as I possibly could. And my favorite temple was the water temple. And I'll talk more about this later in this video, but that is called Pura Tirtha Empul. And then we spent a lot of time on the beach, did beach yoga. Sanur, like I said, is a beachy area. Ubud is more of a jungle area, so we spent a lot of time in nature. And we had amazing coffee and chocolate. So what did I learn? There's really 6 main areas that were really striking to me, so let's go through it. The first is how important and how powerful forest bathing is. Right, this is a topic that you'll see in the literature about how it's been studied to be an effective treatment against depression. And it makes so much sense. Just being in nature and forest bathing or nature bathing, it totally makes sense why it just like lowers the nervous system. And I didn't realize, after only ever taking time off mostly for cancer treatment over the last several years, and now that I've been in remission over a year, woohoo, I'm now able to travel for fun. And I didn't realize how much I needed that for my nervous system, because time off for medical appointments is not the same as time off that's truly time off. The second thing that I was really thinking about on my trip is how important boundaries are when it comes to building a business. I talk about this in my full mentorship program. If you want information about mentorship on how to start a private practice and you want to know what I'm talking about, the link is down below. But I talk about this really early on with my mentees and how important it is to build boundaries around your time very, very early as a business owner, because a lot of people are afraid of starting a private practice because they think that they're going to be working 24/7. And really, it's only going to be that way if you let it. Because you can tell patients, you can specifically tell them your boundaries. You can say, please message me on my patient portal. I return messages between 1 to 3 business days or 1 to 2 business days, whatever you want to say. And you let patients know that you don't answer messages on evenings or weekends, and if they have a true emergency, to go to the ER. So patients should not be messaging you all hours of the night. Also, same goes for your vacations. If you get coverage, which most of my mentees help cover each other because we have several people in the same state. Once you get coverage from a friend or, whatever, trust that person to cover you and have them cover those refills or patient messages. Or if you are in a place where your business has an admin, trust them to do what they need to do. Right? Of course, your number is there for emergency contact only or like urgent contact only, but for the most part, those plans should be decided before you go on vacation so you could truly rest and avoid that urge to just say, oh, if this happens, just call me. No, set those boundaries with yourself, because rest is so, so important, and you can't give as much as we need to give to our patients and our businesses if we are constantly exhausted. Number 3 thing that really struck me was I was really loving the time that I got to spend with our tour guides and the local people, and just understanding, their way of life, what is typical for them, their philosophies on living. And one of the things that I really loved was one of our tour guides talked about there being 4 stages of life that is commonly believed in that area. And that is, number 1, your first task in life is to be a student. And so learn a trade, go to school. The second is to be a doer. So that's like doing a job, doing what you learned. Number 3 stage in life is to be. And so just to learn yourself, exist and be and understand you and the world around you. And number 4, he said, is just a question mark. After that, after you understand and love yourself, the next is exploration. And I think that this is really important because in American culture, it's really just being a student and then doing, right? Like our whole thing is like, and then you work, and then you retire and rest, right? Like there's not a lot of value on like that self-exploration and self-understanding as being a majorly important stage of life. So I thought that was a really good reminder. Number 4 thing that I learned that I really loved is our tour guide also talked about how the Balinese people talk about the 3 stages of love. And the first one is romantic love, which is more commonly here known as like lust or, romantic love, right? The second, that's like the easiest kind of love to develop. The second is going to be your love for your friends and your family. And so then over time you learn how to really love your friends, really love your family, be there for people. And then the third stage of love is unconditional love. And I thought I knew what he meant when he said that. I was like, oh yeah, you get to a place where like you love your spouse unconditionally, etc. He was like, no. First, unconditional love must be achieved by the unconditional love of self before you can get to a place where you can unconditionally love someone else. And I was like, whew, because in mental health, we are in the business of learning how to love ourselves and helping other people on their journey to find self-love. And so that was really good reminder. Number 5, so I shared earlier in the video that my favorite place to visit was the water temple. There was these spouts where there was like water coming out. It was on a natural spring and it was just absolutely beautiful. So you'd go into the water, you would pray and put your head under the spout, and then go to the next one, pray, put your head under that spout. And so it's believed to be like, this purification healing ritual, right? There's like 11 or something like that. And each spout meant like a different thing. One was that it's for nightmares. One was for like anger or speaking angry words to people. So they were all for something different, but the idea is that you don't pick and choose, you kind of go through them. The only ones that you would skip is the ones that are around grieving and death if you have not. Those are for like memorial services. And so as we were driving to this temple, I thought it was really interesting. And I asked him, what is the belief on, what this healing is doing? Because I noticed these spouts were they weren't so much about like miraculous physical healing. So I asked him about that. And he said, yeah, a lot of people think that they're coming to Bali to be healed physically. He's like, but no one is saying that this water is going to like heal cancer or heal, etc. And he said, really, it is for emotional healing. And I think that is so amazing that there's so much value on like regular emotional healing. And this is something that I think in the US we do not connect physical and emotional healing together, or like have this value on like regular emotional healing maintenance, like regular emotional maintenance, right? A lot of times we only work on something when it's really bad. And the last thing that I learned while I was in Bali, well, I knew this, but I re-experienced the importance of it. And that is that rest is productive. And not only that rest is productive, but that you really can't truly rest until you let go of that the guilt. And if you're a business owner, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of times, or even just if you see patients regularly, right, there's like this guilt of like taking time away. What if people need me? Or, you know, feeling just like anxious about taking time away and taking time for yourself. And I really, as I was flying, I really had to think through not just, yes, rest is productive, I have to rest, but really that I had to let go of guilt. I really had to let go of a lot of guilt of stepping away from my business for 2 weeks. So I hope that you guys love this video. I love talking about it, and thank you guys for watching. I do want to address that, as you can tell, I'm on the same green couch, but my background looks a little bit different. I just moved offices, and I was in one small office, and I have now moved to a large, amazing craftsman home that I'm building out offices, and I'm building out a wellness center. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. So subscribe if you want to follow along on that journey. I'm getting ready to make a video about why I wanted to do this and how I'm doing this. And if you guys want to follow along, I'm happy to share, and also put in the comments what you want to know about it. You guys know I love teaching and I love mentoring. If you are wanting to start up a private practice, I do mentor people doing that. Or if you are new to private practice and you're a psychiatric nurse practitioner, as I said earlier in the video, I do mentorship in this area, so you can click the link below. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for listening.